Hey everybody. Yesterday I shot a video about how to attach plants to your woodwork in your aquarium. And I gave several different options that you could use that would be either temporary or permanent. And out of the different options, I completely failed to offer one of the options that I've used in the past. It's a little bit iffy and I don't use it very much, so that's probably why I didn't think about it, but I figure it's worth throwing out there just because it might come in handy for somebody to use, so we can go over the pros and cons of it real quick. But that method is using this stuff. It's called Floral Wire. Sometimes you'll see it sold as garden wire. It's a very, very thin steel wire. I don't even know if that's coming out. You can see that or not, but it's a very thin steel wire. And it's typically used in floral arrangements and things like that. You can twist it around the different stems and wind them together to hold them in place. And it's so thin and green you'd barely even notice that there's any wire in there. But you can also use it to wrap around the rhizome gently of Anubias or whatever. You could even go through the root mass of some other type of plant like a water sprite or something like that, and sort of attach it midway floating against a piece of wood in the tank or whatever. It's really useful stuff. You can do a lot of stuff with it because it's really soft and flexible. Think of like a twisty tie, except you've got a whole roll of it and it's like a super heavy duty twisty tie. Really good for holding stuff together without having to tie knots or anything like that. You can bend it into shapes. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. And because it's steel wire, steel is basically nothing more than iron with its fancy Sunday clothes on, and so it rusts away. Now that might sound scary to some people. It might sound like you're putting stuff in the water you don't want, but a little bit of iron dissolving into your water and a little bit of rust getting in the water is no big deal at all. And in fact, in my tanks, it's probably beneficial. My water is so soft coming out of the ground. Even if I use my groundwater directly, not my treated water, but my groundwater has no iron, no calcium, no magnesium. There's nothing in it to give it any hardness whatsoever. So trace amounts, and believe me, you will get trace amounts of dissolved iron into your water if you're using that. So if you've already got iron in your water, the additional amount of iron will be inconsequential and unnoticeable. And if you've got no iron in your water, a little bit of wire rusting into your tank will put trace amounts of iron into the water, which again, something to consider, but it's probably a negligible amount that I wouldn't concern myself with. The real downside to using this stuff is that it's wire. It's got sharp, pokey, pointy ends, and so as it starts to rust and break, little bits of it'll come off, and where you've got it wrapped around, it'll go boing and it'll start sticking up, and now you've suddenly got this piece of exposed wire sticking out that your fish could very easily put an eye out or scrape or scratch themselves, and now you've got fish injuring themselves on rusty metal, and so that's not necessarily a good thing. So it does have its downsides, and they are significant downsides, which is why I don't use it very often. But for certain circumstances and certain conditions, it does come in handy, especially for temporary stuff. If you need to be able to do something where you don't have two hands and you can't tie a knot, you just got to wrap it around something. If you're just trying to hold a couple of rocks together on the bottom temporarily or something like that, this floral wire works really well under certain circumstances for certain applications. So it is out there as an option. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget that it's called Floral Wire. Comes in little rolls like that. You can get it pretty much anywhere. Home garden center. You can go to the little gardening aisle up at Walmart. You can probably go to the craft aisle up at Walmart or any of the places like that where they sell hobby stuff, hobby crafts, whatever. Go to the flower arranging or the floral area and you'll be able to find little wire just like that. It's very inexpensive and very versatile. So there you go. That's my little quick tip of the day. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss anything I got coming up. I do have a little bit of new tank going on for you. I'll give you a little, there you go. That new tank right there is going to be in our featured video later today, maybe tomorrow. But I have done some work on that tank, and it is now very different than it was before. Well, I don't know. Well, you'll just have to wait and see. So make sure you're subscribed, and that way you'll find out all about it. And don't forget, of course, this one here is my waterfall tank. So thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you real soon in the next one.